Okay, higher homework sheet number 1 for 2021. Here we go, guys. First question, a nice wee simple National 5 question there for you. How do you work out the equation of a straight line? Well, eventually we're going to use the formula y minus b equals mx minus a. So we're looking for what's m, what's a, and what's b. So we can use the gradient formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Use the points that they're given. You can then substitute that straight into the formula along with one of the points to get the answer. A nice wee simple starter for you. Second question, well, that probably couldn't be any easier as well. Okay, I'm not going to do the one that's there, but let's say you had x squared plus y squared minus 10x plus 4x take away 7 is equal to 0. Okay, now first thing you'll notice for my example I'm doing is that I've got it equal to 0. Okay, so if you're watching this video, you're at an advantage to everybody else because you need to get the 5 in the question across the equal sign because it has to equal 0. So once it's in that format, the centre, that's nice and easier. We take the negative 10, half it and change the sign. Oops, that should be a y, sorry. Take the 4, half it, change the sign, negative 2. So that gives you the centre. How do you get the radius? Well, we're going to use g squared plus f squared minus c. So for my example, 5 squared add negative 2 squared, take away negative 7. Work all that out. My example gives you 6. You can find out what the example is in the homework sheet. Question 3. Okay, so a wee diagram is going to help us here. The lines x equals negative 2, which is that line there, passing through negative 2, and x equals 8, that line there, passing through 8. And then you've got another two lines, y equals 2, so that's a line that goes across there, it passes through 2, and y equals 12, that's a line up here, it passes through 12. Now they are tangents to a circle. So that means that inside that shape, you've got a circle. Obviously a bit better than the one I've drawn. I've squashed mine a wee bit. Okay, what do we need for the equation of circle? We need an AB, which is the centre, and we need the radius, which is R. Okay, now looking at this question up here, if it touches just there at 2, or negative 2 I should say, and it touches there at 8, then the centre is going to be halfway between them. Similarly, going up the way, the centre is going to be halfway between them. So if you work out halfway between all of those points, you'll get its centre. Its radius is the distance from the middle to the edge. So once you knew the x number, you can work out how far you've got to go till you reach 8. Okay, that'll tell you the radius. Once you've done all that, you just need to plug them in to the formula x minus a all squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. Question 4. A recurrence relation question. So it removes 80%. So that's 100 take away 20 equals 80%. So I think I said 80 earlier on. 100 take away 20 is 80%. So if it removes 20, then 80% is going to be left. There's 100 being added, and we're interested what happens round about this 450 number. So the amount of water in the boat, AN plus 1, is equal to 80% of what was there before, because 20% gets bailed out, plus there's another 100 that sneaks in. So 80% as a decimal is 0.8 AN plus 100. Now looking at this recurrence relation that you've got, what you need to be looking for is the formula for the limit. And the limit, if you remember, is equal to the C number, which is the number at the end, over 1 minus the M number, which is the number before the AN. So if you put 100 in the formula and 0.A in the formula, you'll get a limit. Once you've got that limit, compare it to the 450 and find out whether Mr. West is going to be saved or not. Question 5. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector for question 1. So, perpendicular bisector. Bisect means cuts in half. Perpendicular means at right angles. So for this question here, the first thing you're going to have to find is the midpoint. Right, and we know how to do that. We just half the x, add in half the x numbers, add in half the y numbers. Second thing we're going to need is what's the gradient of AB? Well, if you've done question 1 properly, you'll have that. And then once you've got that gradient, that's going to lead you on to what the perpendicular gradient is. Once you know that perpendicular gradient, we can use this point and this gradient, and y minus b equals mx minus a. Question 6. Find the equation of a tangent to the circle. Okay, so again it's a straight line. Lots of this worksheet is straight line. So y minus b equals mx minus a once again. Okay, do we know the point on the edge? Yep. The question tells us that the point that we have to use on the edge is 5, negative 4. Do we know the gradient? No, we don't. However, if we can find the centre of the circle, and we can get that easily from the question, that will then tell us what this gradient is using the gradient formula. And then we can use that one to work out the perpendicular gradient. Okay, so find mrad first of all, which is the gradient of the radius, using the point on the edge in the centre, and then find m tangent, find the gradient of the tangent, and then plug this number in and plug this point in for the answer. Question 7, factorising question. Okay, so we need to use the synthetic division, the big long L. So the numbers that go here are 1, negative 4, 1 and 6. Now the question was good enough to tell us that x minus 2 was a factor. So if x minus 2 is a factor, then it means we're going to put 2 in at the start here. Because remember, we always put the opposite sign to what's in the bracket. And then once you've done that, we do our procedure of add, times, add, times, add, times. And you'll know if you've done it correctly because you're looking for 0 here. Okay, once you've got that, you know that's a factor. Your answers that you got for this part is your other factor, so that wiggly red line is going to have something like x squared plus so many x's plus another number at the end, or take away another number. It could be positive or negative, which you then need to factorise as well. So your final answer should have 3 brackets. The one that the question gives you and the 2 that you find. And lastly, number 8, solve the quadratic inequation. Again, first thing you need to do is get that 5 over. Right, we always want to try and get 0 on that side. How do we solve that? Best way to solve that is to draw a wee diagram. Okay. If we factorise the expression here to be x plus 1 and x minus 5, that's what you get when you factorise it, then that's going to tell you that these points are the roots. So this root is negative 1, this root is positive 5. It's a happy graph, looks like that. and we're looking for the places where it's bigger than 0. So we're looking for this place, we're looking for this place. And I'll leave you to write down that as an answer. Okay, hopefully that helps a wee bit.